What's up, everybody? Welcome to We Have Cool Friends, the cool show where we talk to our cool friends about the cool things they're doing. I'm Greg, and this is my cool friend, Genevieve, St-Onge, Miller.
Nailed it.
Did I get it?
You
You're happy
nailed
with that time?
Yeah.
How much does it annoy you, the way I pronounce your name or don't pronounce your name?
No, I like it because it makes it, your own little very personal way of saying it.
Well, it's that even the thing of like when I'm like, oh, well, I get it. I'm saying Genevieve, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm nailing it.
Yeah.
Then when we go back to Canada and your mom says your name, I'm like, I am not nailing this.
Yeah, but there's no way you could say it like that's not how speaking another language works.
I feel like it should be. You know what I mean? You learn a bit about it and you get to go.
Do you though?
And I've heard it enough. It's because it's that thing where it's not even that I think I'm saying it my way. And I'm talking obviously about the Genevieve part, not the Miller. Genevieve, I feel like I'm on it.
You're
I
very
got it.
close, yeah.
I found in my phone the other day, I was cleaning up my notes. I found in my phone the notes going.
How to call my wife. What is that?
No. When we were going to visit your folks for the first time, when I was meeting them at brunch, and the way I had to try to spell out their names so I knew how to say it, because nobody had it. Rachel is your sister. It needs to be said Rochelle. Like, come on, you know what I mean? Jen, thank you for coming on. We Have Cool Friends.
Thank you for having me.
What was that? What happened?
My coffee's trying to come out.
Oh, you're trying to barf on the table? We can start the show again. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, I just had a breakdown on stream because I didn't click the dang record button. So we started the show, and then we would have been able to stitch it together, but then it would have gone live at 6:30, and then nobody's watching then. And it would have
You
killed
pet the therapy dog, and then everything was better. You sang some Bush.
Thank
Rush.
you. I did. No, it was Bush. You were right. We did some glycerine. All right, that was happening there.
That's how we work through it.
Yeah, exactly. So Jen, you're here on We Have Cool Friends because you're one of Kind of Funny's cool friends.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, you're also my wife.
Yes.
Full disclosure, it's also your birthday today.
It is.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. The Peep is here to celebrate.
We got to store the Peep eventually, right? Like, Easter's over. You're a big part of the Peep. You started the Peep movement, right? Because we were there at the grocery store, we bought the Peep, and then sure as shit, Nick had to copy us. You know what I mean? And then he had to go put Peeps in everybody's house.
And then we argued. Well, not argued. I really wanted the yellow one, and you're like, we should get the blue one for Kind of Funny. And I'm like, with the blue Peeps, less visibly like available. I don't know. Like, Peeps are yellow to me usually.
Sure,
That's the default color. I don't know.
You're not wrong. And it was right. And it started a movement here, and I'm proud of you.
I'm excited.
So, we're going to get into everything here, of course. This is We Have Cool Friends. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, each and every week, usually on Mondays now, we come to you with one of our cool friends from the world at large. Maybe they're in the industry, maybe they're an actor, maybe there's something else. If you like that, you can head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can ask questions in the friend zone, where you can get the show ad-free, and where you can get a bunch of other goodies, perks, and everything else like that. Remember, We Have Cool Friends is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and more. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Mohammed, a.k.a. Momo, Justin Toft, Das Bear Jew, Blackjack, and Downtown Jarrett Brown. Today we're brought to you by MeUndies and Honey, but I'll tell you about that later. Now, Genevieve. What?
Later or now? I want to know more about MeUndies.
No, I've talked about this before on the show, and I hate the original intro we had didn't make it sound so much about us. I want this to be about you, obviously. Okay. But while we're here, it's just like I hate hearing myself in headphones. We don't do that at the studio, so doing it here constantly gets in my own way of everything. Like I said in the breakdown earlier, I'm sick of working from home. I want to go back to the studio. Not you. I like being around you. But God, I want to go back to the studio, or Kevin just points at me and I have one job and it's to talk, and that's it. And I don't have to do anything else. Yeah. Jen.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't know you.
Yes.
Who are you?
Well, I've been in the games industry my whole career. So what was I? Started in 2011. So I'm like almost 10 years fully in.
Funny because in my head I literally went, all right, it's 2017.
Is it?
No, it's 2020. You're right. It's way closer to 10 years than I thought it was.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I've spent most of my career there. Had no idea I could work or make a career ever in the games industry because that's not something that they tell you in rural Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
Rural
juror.
And so I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So when I went to college, I took marketing because I was an extrovert and also had no clue what I wanted to do, but not smart enough to go into a field that was going to be financially successful.
Yeah.
So I took marketing thinking I'll figure it out when I get there. And that's exactly what happened, where I graduated and I had played games my whole childhood and my whole teenage years. And just kept it as a hobby until there was this job posting in Quebec City for a place called Frima Studio. And they were looking for somebody to just crunch numbers on a spreadsheet for the sales team to make work for proposals, like budgets and RFPs and stuff. So I applied literally laughing because I'm like, there's no way. Like, I know no one in the industry. I had no idea other than Ubisoft, like what games were made in Quebec. And I walked into the interview wearing this horrible matching like purple shirt, purple nails, and purple shoes. Like, I don't know. I'm not even a purple person.
Was Frima's color purple?
No. Well, one of them, yeah. So they had like, it was a little like PopAgenda color schemey. Like they had different.
There you go. If you're a visual listener, there it is.
But I don't know. That day I got dressed and I'm like, you know what? Fucking purple. Let's go. But have you ever met a purple person? Like
Undertaker.
What does that mean?
The Undertaker, when he came back.
He loves purple?
Well, yeah, he wore purple gloves and purple thing. Of course, you know, as you know from Catholicism, you know, the resurrection color purple too. So Jesus is all about the purple too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. And that's why The Undertaker did it. Because remember, he got killed by Yokozuna. Yokozuna put him in a casket and they rolled him down the thing. And it was a screw job. And it really showed you a lot of problems with wrestling. Because it was all the bad guys came out to beat up Undertaker in the Royal Rumble and put him into the casket. And none of the good guys came out. Like, why did nobody help him? But as they rolled him down, they had a video inside it where he came awake. And then he literally ascended into heaven. And we were all like, where'd the Undertaker go? And then he came back at SummerSlam.
Do you know the sound that a VHS tape makes when you hit fast forward?
Yeah.
That's what my brain does.
You're like, can we end this? Can the bit about 90s wrestling end so I can get back to my story? Gotcha.
No, I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah, so I just don't know why I did that.
The purple?
The purple. But I got the job because we spent the entire hour of the interview talking about World of Warcraft. And I had been unemployed by that time because I had just moved cities for like 3 months. And so all I was doing is raid. I was just raiding. Like that was my life. I was just fucking raiding all day. And so I got really excited about that, connecting for the first time. I think that's the thing that made it cool for me working in the industry. Is like I've met those people and we're in an interview setting, which should be the most nerve-wracking thing, and you're like stressed out. And we just talked about video games.
Sure.
For the whole time. And then it was such a junior job that they were like, yeah, you're cool. You seem sane. You know
fit
games.
in. Yeah, you know game stuff.
And so that got me my first job in the industry. And like, it was the best way to start because in order to get that like number crunching job done, I had to sit down with tech directors, art directors, lead engineers, and figure out, essentially the question was, because it was an outsourcing studio. So the question was always, cool, Disney wants us to pitch on this and we need to give them a number on like how much money is this Facebook game going to cost? Because back then, fucking Flash games and Facebook games.
That's where all the money was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the early days of Cityville and Farmville, and then mobile games were like starting. Angry Birds was picking up and stuff. So everybody wanted to get on that. And then Frima had like a lot of experience with Flash games and online MMOs. They made Build-A-Bear Workshop, guys.
Oh, wow.
Build-A-Bear Online. I forget what it's called. My Little Pet Shop Online also.
I remember My Little Pet Shop. I've heard of that one. Maybe I just remember the brand more than the game, but whatever.
And so, yeah, my job was just to come up with the budget estimates for that. So I had no idea how to make a video game. So I had to rely on all those people and really take like to the T what they were giving me and come up with a budget. And I did that for 8 months.
How long did that take to figure out though? Because that sounds impossible. Of like you're tossed into this budgeting thing, but you've never made games.
I've never made a game.
Yeah.
So you just aggregate information.
Okay.
And like so all the directors just sit down with previous projects and they try to estimate to the best of their knowledge like, what's the timeline going to be? What's the workload going to be? What's the month cost of this? And
do you feel your marketing, education prepared you for this?
not at all. At that point, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
So, but they knew that because they were looking just for someone to build spreadsheets. So it was sort of the best way to start because the expectations were so low.
She can't fuck it up any worse than the other people would.
And like all my work had to be vetted anyway by my superior. So.
Oh, like an adult had to look at it?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody had to check your work?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was like school.
And then so Frima also happened to have this IP department where they were relying on a lot of the public funding in Canada to make their own intellectual properties and then release those games. But they didn't have a lot of like marketing efforts behind that. And I just came out of the woodwork. I'm like, hey, I got a marketing degree. And so after 8 months, they actually gave me a shot in the marketing department. And that's really where I started building my credentials because we had like the bare minimum to work with and not a lot of budget, unfortunately, because of public funding. So I really had to set up from like bootstraps and just meet with everyone. First parties, establish a publishing pipeline. I worked with, thankfully, like resourceful people at the studio. And then I transitioned like 3 or 4 years after to Square Enix, Montreal, to sort of replicate what I had done, which is setting up the publishing pipeline for the mobile studio in Montreal. Because there was a lot of AAA experience in the space, a lot of people coming from Ubisoft and other AAA studio like Eidos, of course, was associated with SEM. And so my job there was as a brand manager to build the go-to-market campaigns and speak with first parties and just release Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go, Hitman Sniper, Deus Ex Go. Then over the course of 3 or 4 years. And then I met you.
Yep.
And then after investing 6-7 years only into my professional life path, I met you and that completely...
My life path.
Yeah, well, you've met me.
Yeah.
You've met me 3 years ago and I had zero personal life and I was constantly working because that's all I knew. That's all I wanted to do because I didn't invest any personal... like energy into my personal life. So then I met you and I decided to reassess my priorities in life. And so I moved here and I married you.
Yeah.
And then I had this huge identity crisis because I couldn't work in America for like 9 months.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, cool, what kind of skill set do I have? I'm a marketer. I sell shit. Great. How can I help humanity with that fucking skill set? I can't. Well, I could help people who have less access to marketing resources, like indie teams to market their games. And so that's sort of how PopAgenda came to be, because then I thought that was really cool and I was doing some pro bono consulting while I couldn't work, also walking dogs at the SPCA, and that was great. And we almost had brought home so many dogs.
You almost brought home so many dogs. We didn't almost bring home that many dogs. All right, we already have one dog. All right.
Does he count though as a dog?
He's more of a cat or a backpack, I guess. But you were trying to bring home gigantic dogs.
I love big dogs.
In our 2-bedroom San Francisco apartment.
I never thought I would be into small dogs until I met Porty.
That's how everybody feels. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack in your story far, obviously. The synopsis, though, right now, in a nutshell, what is PopAgenda? Because that's where you are now, what you're doing now.
So I brought you up to speed on my weird career path. PopAgenda is we essentially offer self-publishing services for indie teams. Mm-hmm. So when you think of publishing, it's like production support, PR, marketing, social. When it comes to production, we have a producer on the team, MC. She tackles QA, localization, ratings, release management. Nick has an editorial and game design background, so what he does is he really gets into the weeds with the teams and figures out their editorial lines and PR angles, and he does a little bit of social media as well. He now spearheads most of the PR at PopAgenda. I'm really useless.
What are you doing now?
Nothing.
What are you doing there? Are you going there all day with the door closed? Is it just Animal Crossing?
Yes. No, what I do specifically is marketing strategy, business development. So establishing contact with first parties, securing funding, securing publishers. Because a lot of the devs, even though they work with us, they still need somebody to process like royalties and like have a more secured marketing budget, because we don't fund projects. That's the big difference with us and publishers. We stay behind the scenes, we don't take royalties, and we work agency based. So what I do, which is super fucking ironic, is based on my Freema experience. I'm the one making all the budget estimates for PopAgenda. So I can, with that experience, shockingly accurately ballpark how much time it means for us to work on your project.
Yeah.
Like we track every single hour that we put with this fancy little platform called Harvest. And I am spot on. And it's the most satisfying thing where I'm like,
nailed it.
For this one PRB, 25-ish hours and we'll get it done. And then it's like 24, boom. And I'm like, yeah. It's like, it's great because tools are great, man. Like we talk about it all the time. I don't know how you guys get it done, but we have so many cool tools.
Yeah.
Like we use Asana for task tracking. We use obviously Slack. We have synced Google calendars for everything. We have Harvest for time tracking and invoicing. And then MC has like fancy accounting platforms. It's awesome. Like we were prepared to work from home. Like it's been 3 years.
Well, you've been working home for 3 years.
Yeah. And it's so smooth. And like we have the kind of dynamic with Nick and MC and myself where we barely have, like we check in with each other daily, but we know what everyone's doing. Like we trust everyone, like what they're working on. And it's just, there's never any micromanaging of any sort. And I'm saying that probably because I'm the person micromanaging everybody, but no one micromanages me.
Yeah. Who watches the Watchmen?
Yeah. And so PopAgenda, yeah, it's like it's agency style self-publishing services. So the goal is to help indies ship their games, and then we just leave. Like we retain nothing out of their IP or royalties, and we usually work with people who have shipped at least one game, so that they understand the burden of marketing a game and going through release, and they're like, we don't want to do that anymore ever again. So yeah.
Was that a big transition for you? You know, leaving Square Enix, coming here, and then obviously being forced to not work for 9 months because of the government. We'll get to that eventually. But in terms of, I remember when you moved here and it was the idea of like, oh, maybe I'll go to Crystal, maybe I'll go to PlayStation, maybe I'll go to Ubi, maybe I'll go to EA. And obviously you have these in San Francisco, giant AAA dev/publishers. But then it seems like over time, when you're talking about like how to help humanity, where did that come from? Where did that start moving the needle?
I think it was a long time coming for me, where I always worked in a very like selfish, I'm going to push my career as far as I can take it. And then not being able to work is like, well, why am I doing that? Like I had of course, like obviously the immense privilege of being financially supported by you. Thank you. Thank you,
Patreon.
Oh my God. It was horrifying. But yeah, when you live to work and then you can't, it really, and I was interviewing with a bunch of people and all the teams were amazing. But every time I looked at the end of the day, what am I going to contribute to? What products am I going to work on? Like the teams are so big, and it's still, you can still have a sense of realization working on big teams like that. But it was not as appealing to me anymore. And the teams that I had worked with in the past, English is leaving my body right now. At Freema,
at least
and
you have an excuse.
I know.
When I literally, what do? I talk all day and then I can't fucking say words. Yeah. It's like, well, I got nothing for you.
The teams were like significantly smaller, even at SEM. Like the whole studio when I was there was 40 people, and then we shipped Hitman
Really?
Go.
It was only 40 people,
including management and overhead. So Hitman Go was made by a core. Like initially, the initial concept was 2 people, and then the team scaled up to like 6. And then LC Go, when we shipped that, I think that at most the dev team was 10 people, not even, Yeah. So we always sort of retained that indie spirit at a AAA-ish studio. And then that was really appealing to me. So when I was forced to sit down and have this introspection here, I'm like, how do I retain that? Because I love being close to the devs and I love having a direct impact, and I want to do something great with my skill set. And so I think that's the merger happened there, where I'm like, well, I could do this on my own. And like San Francisco, I'm in the middle of like GameSpot, IGN, Kind of Funny, and other like podcasters and games news. So like from a PR standpoint, with the idea to bring support to the Montreal scene in particular, like that made it a no-brainer for people to be like, well, that's actually great. You're right there. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess because that's something, you know, again, we're all over the place, but in terms of founding PopAgenda with Nick and MC is still in Montreal.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Nick was about to have a baby, well, his wife, together.
Nick wasn't doing it on his own. He wasn't about to have a baby on his own.
And when I floated the idea by him, I was like, do not leave your job. Like, this is insane. And he was like, well, actually, is it? Because Canada has great paternity leave programs. So he sort of slowly transitioned from being on paternity leave to then joining PopAgenda. And he was already like helping advise on certain things. And when we started talking, I'm like, man, you know what would be great? Like, I don't want to just be a marketing PR agency. We should have a producer, because a lot of people need hand holding, because you have to think in the game production cycles, like teams ship a game every 3 to 5 years. And in the meantime, the platform holders are like, well, I'm going to redo the portal and change a bunch of rules.
Right. And the people you know there have cycled out.
Exactly.
You don't have a contact anymore.
And you log back into the release management portal and you're like, holy shit, I've never seen this feature. What is that? Like when the new consoles come out, what does that look like? So like having us be a continuously like informed and renewed partner of first parties makes it so much easier for people to just bridge and be like, okay, I'm ready. And we're like, cool, we're up to date. Let's go. So MC, that's what she does. And we reached out to her, and she had been at home for a while because she had 2 kids back to back. She worked on Fez and Rogue Legacy, and she knew what she was doing in terms of production. And when we reached out to her, she was like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm also at a crossroad where I want to go back to work, but I don't want to just get a job, you know? So the 3 of us together were just ready to go. And it just came together like that, which is crazy. But it was a natural fit. And yeah, they're in Montreal.
The one thing I don't think we talk about enough, even, I mean, in our marriage, right, is especially those 9 months, but I do want to continue it out. But where we are right now in your story of founding PopAgenda, right, leaving it, coming here, like those 9 months, how lost did you feel? Because it was leaving your country, your family, your career, and coming here. And like you said, leaving your identity in so many ways.
It was... It's interesting being on the other side of it. It was necessary. I think that's like... I love my family, as you know. But I think personally, in terms of individual growth, I needed to stop doing what I was doing. Like, I was... not on a destructive path or anything. I just wasn't building anything. And I think it was part of me adulting, right? Where I lived my like single life in Montreal, and then I was like, cool, well, how many years do you want to keep up with that too? So I think I met you and I wasn't quite there yet mentally, but then you just like pushed me over the edge, and I'm like, well, this is what's happening, and this is great, turns out. But coming here, I think the hardest transition was the country transition. Sure. Like we always talk about how Canada's so great and like how like America is great.
What? Wait, we always talk about how Canada's so great and America's.
I can't say shit about Canada. I'm America.
You can say whatever you want. You got a green card.
No, yeah. Man, I don't want to get into the because it's a lot.
I mean, you're allowed. Yeah. I know. Obviously, yes.
But like coming from a country that has a tremendously like more socialist approach to a lot of things that are bare essentials for human beings to thrive,
to live.
It's been a weird like mental fuck to move here, but. It doesn't take away from the people. I think it's just structural issues that the country's facing. And the most helpful thing you've ever told me is you have to see the United States as kind of like Europe, where every state has its different set of like values and rules, and like thank God we're in California.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing where I'm like, especially when I was in limbo with my status because somebody somewhere forgot my file on the corner of their desk, and there was no progress for 9 months, and even the customs agents were like, what the fuck is happening with your application? And I'm like,
this thing that was supposed to take 3 months, right, at most. And granted, it was, right after Trump came into office, so nobody understood what was going on and what was going to change.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be, we moved you here on the assumption that in 3 months you would have a work permit and you'd be able to go anywhere. That's what, like, why, even when you were here not able to work, you were doing interviews and taking meetings and stuff of like, oh yeah, I'll be, no time at all, I'll be back on my feet or whatever. Not back on my feet.
Turns out not at all.
Until we contacted Nancy Pelosi and had her yell at the people, and then like the next day we had it.
She did it. Like her office totally helped us, I
100%.
think. And then we went to, see Star Wars, and then we got an email from that amazing person in her office, and we crossed the street and I just saw me bawling because I had my green card. Yeah. My work permit.
Yeah, work permit. Not even green card. That was another year, and we also needed to lean on them again to hit them up to make something happen.
So I think it's like being in a safe, like, little bubble my whole life, and then going through this huge transition in terms of stability and visibility on what's ahead, right? Because I didn't know where I was going to work. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I don't know how, like, it's stupid stuff. Like, my family's, like, a lot in the healthcare industry, and you know how horrified I am at anything that's got to do with the medical field. It took me 3 years to book a dentist appointment because I'm like, I don't know how insurance companies work. And as I get older, so it turns out I was justified to be scared. But it's just being not... I hate feeling stupid. Like, I fucking hate it, especially when I know how stuff works to T in Canada, and you grew up there, spend 30 years there, and it's like you move and it's like, I don't know.
Totally, yeah, you're starting from scratch.
But it sounds so trivial when you say it, but yeah, it's just...
I don't know, does it? Like, that's the thing. I don't know if it does. And I think it's similar to what we're going through right now with, shelter in place and all. Don't look at the chat. The chat's not going to help you do anything. That's just going to distract you. That's why I usually don't have it up. But when I think where I'm streaming, I need to make sure I'm not breaking it. Turn this away from you so you can't see what they're up to. You can see the comments later. You can watch a replay on this. Give us the view. I think it's one of those, until you live through it, you don't understand it, right? And I think even for me being your husband and your partner and all this, I don't understand it the way, like, there's no way to. Like, I don't know what's going on when, during those 9 months when I am at work or whatever, and you're here with Porty, just with nothing to do, you know what I mean? Waiting on an update from the government. And even still now, where it is that I take it all for granted, right? Of like what it's like. And the closest, thing I have to it is when I go to visit your family. And, obviously French is your first language. I forget if that, in the part we lost in the beginning where we talked about all this stuff, like, English is your second language. You learned it, as pretty much an adult, like a teenager is when you actually learned English. And so when I go back to Montreal, and especially out to your family in rural Canada, Quebec, and like I am totally immersed in French, it is that fucked up thing of like, oh man, this is crazy, and this is what it's like for Jen every day. Now granted, she understands the language far more than I understand French, but I do get that 100% of, like, you always talk about it when people ask if we'll move to Canada one day. You're like, I'd love to, but I know how hard that would be. Yeah. You said it, in a way that was painful to me, but very true, that you said that Greg burned so bright in America.
I don't want to dim your light.
And if he went to Canada, it would be that thing of, and it's that, I thought that was so poignant and so bittersweet because I know that's how you feel. And when you moved here, you talked about like, I have, in French, I have 14 ways to say this, but here I have one, and it sounds so simple. And like to know that for a week at a time when we go visit your family, I'm like, oh my God, like she's given up so much to come be with me.
Yeah, but like I think, again, you mentioned it, I think I have more affinity with English than you do with French. Oh, sure, yeah. And it's still, as someone who's extremely fucking funny, it's the most upsetting thing, because I'm 20% like funny in English, and in French, man, I could probably do stand-up comedy. I'm really funny. Like, you've been at the dinner table with my parents.
Oh, they're rolling, folks. They're rolling. Yeah.
And like, my parents are not funny people. Like, anyway.
I think they're funny for different reasons.
So the language thing for sure. I think now I'm in a different place than I was 3 years ago.
Of course.
But man, it's one of the things that your brain just switches off if it's tired, if you're drunk, if you're just emotionally like we're switching from professional to personal.
And you knew that would happen.
Yeah. But it's like the most difficult thing has been painting you a picture of how I feel. Like I suck already with talking about my emotions in the moment. You know that. I'm the kind of person that's like deer in headlights. I'm trying to process something and it's just blank.
Yeah.
Because I don't like emotions like that, which it's a thing I'm working on. Everybody, I just don't like emotions.
I don't like emotions.
It's just interfering.
They call me the Terminator.
But I can't speak when I'm upset, which is even more upsetting. But that's also adding to that the language factor, where I could explain to you how I feel in 1,000 different ways in French, but in English it's like, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry, and you're like, why are you angry? And I'm like, I'm not exactly angry, but I don't know the words.
I'm in one of these gray areas, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Turns out I'm just hangry all the time.
That's also true.
Want to eat.
Yeah.
So language has been a thing, and I think I find a lot of comfort in PopAgenda because we speak French. Like the founders, we all speak French, and then when we interface with clients, we can all revert back to English. But it's been, I think, very cathartic to be able every day to speak French in a professional capacity, not just like with my family. So that brought definitely balance to my life, for sure.
Do you, and this is me, I guess, probably oversimplifying. Yeah. But do you feel like I don't know you? Because it is this thing of if you can't express yourself, right? And it is, and I know you can. Obviously, we do. We talk all the time and stuff. But like, you know what I mean? Like, if you can't say what you mean, do you feel like I don't really know you?
Not any different than anyone who's dating or like married to like, you get to know people no matter what. Like the person that Nick at my company knows is not this, like, you're not gonna have the same sort of sensibilities, or like, I'm not gonna interact the same way with you, I'm not gonna share as much with you. So I think regardless, like, it's the same, it's just adding definitely like a degree of complexity. But I also think that makes us more I don't want to say like it deepens our connection, but it sort of does, because we have to add so much buffer to every conversation we have to be like, well, did you mean it that way?
Oh, man, it's the best. Anytime I get you mad or you get mad at me, it's like, wait, I have an out here. Because I think you didn't understand what I meant probably here. Mm-hmm. And I'll say 90% of the time that's really what happened. 10% of the time I'm using it as a get out of jail free card.
But, like, you can't take it for granted. And same for me, because I say shit sometimes that I'm like, oh, that came out really. Like, that one time I told you I
love... fuck.
No. When I told you I loved you more.
I tweeted it too. But yeah, it was something. You were trying to say, yeah, I love you more every day.
But it's like,
but it was way more derogatory than that. Where
like,
it was
if it started,
I'm more confident that I love you every day. I was like, wait, what? you weren't sure, and you're still trying to sell yourself on loving me?
Yeah. So I think as much as like our conversations are or weren't, I think again I'm in a much better place linguistically.
You nailed it.
You nailed it. Yeah. It's a word in French. That's why I took a chance. Which, by the way,
90% of the words you say, like, I don't know if this is a word. You say, I'm like, that's French. Exactly how we say it, but not as much attitude.
Oh, man. So I think, I'm in a much better place, but throughout the last 3 years, it's just given us, like, much more attentive, like, discussions and conversations. And it's not as colorful verbally as I would want it to be in French, but that's fine. Like, you can't do anything. Like, it's completely out of your control. And even if you learn French, it would be a reversed situation.
Right, where I'm talking in a third grader's understanding of it, right?
Which I would find absolutely adorable. But
sure, but it would be back to what you're talking about. Like, that's the thing of, like, when I'm there with your family and I can't express it, you know what I mean? Then it's like, I totally understand what you talk about, where you do feel like a fucking moron. Like, I know exactly who I run a successful business and we've grown it to 9 people. And it's like, I can't fucking tell you, I want you to pass me the salt. You know what I mean? Like, ugh.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's totally, we're elsewhere now completely. So in a good place.
You and me?
Yeah.
We weren't in a bad place before. See, that's what you're talking about, where there's this gray area where you're like, what?
I'm more and more confident that this relationship's going to work.
Yeah, exactly. See, I think that you talked about it, speaking to deepening our connection or whatever, but I feel like that's one of the interesting parts about it, where even though and I don't ever want to make it sound like a hurdle, because it's not like we sit here every day going like, what do you mean? Well, I do that because I'm deaf.
But we do it. Like, every night when both of us are tired, it's like, we have to just hunker down and be like, oh, God, what are we trying to say? What's happening?
I'm getting a phone call. You talk to them, because I think it might be your flowers.
My flowers! Well, no, I let them in earlier, I think.
Hello?
Goodbye. Go get my flowers. Oh, yeah. It's the delivery man texted me.
What did he say?
I don't know. I'm talking to your audience.
Well, look at the thing. Now I can talk to the audience.
Oh,
Garbage truck on fire. It's fine.
So I'm not getting flowers today. No, wait. He left them. He left them. He left them. He left the pact.
Hold on.
He left the pack right outside the door, the gel pack. Okay, so you should go get him.
The gel pack?
Oh, no, it's my fish.
Oh, damn. All right.
Go get the fish.
Okay, hold on. Lucy, come sit with Jen and talk to Jen.
Oh, go get the fish downstairs.
Oh, well, you have a choice.
No, so I've been working because, the times we're in, it's hard to... God, that package of fish is going to be gone. And those people are going to...
You can talk to chat.
It's been hard to get groceries, obviously. So I found a couple people who have direct access to, like, local fishermen and fishmongers. It's been great, honestly, because you can order directly from their website and they will deliver to your door. But for some reason, I could not let them in, and they sent a picture. They sent a picture of the box just like laying outside of our door, which is a terrible, terrible thing because there's a lot of package theft. Hello. Okay, I'm looking at the chat. Not a fish tank, actual like fish. I ordered cod and salmon and then oysters for my birthday. And they were like $15 for a dozen, which is a really good deal. What else? Oh, definitely Hoarder or Alliance. Definitely Hoard. I did start in the Alliance though because I was definitely a night elf. We don't talk about this. Then I transferred over and I was a giant cow. It was great. Hello. I'm sorry if it's been asked, but what do you miss most about Canada? I miss seasons. I actually really love... Kevin is calling me. Oh no. Hi, Kevin. What's up?
Hey, Jen. This is Kevin Coelho from Kind of Funny calling.
Hi, Kevin.
I've got headphones on and it's delayed. Okay, I'm going to take these off.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, I saw you cut Greg Miller's hair. Now, I know there's this whole social distancing thing, we're not supposed to hang out. But what if I come in fully covered up, just hair exposed, you cut my hair? You did a great job with Greg's. I want to see if you could do it again.
Well, so you've met Greg. He's got a problem with germs. You got both.
We'll keep it a secret. You don't tell him when it'll happen. You tell me when it's convenient for you. Maybe 3 a.m, something like that,
Greg, how comfortable would you be if I cut Kevin's hair?
No! Germs!
No, I can't put between me and you. It's a secret for us.
I mean, are you able to absolutely not breathe into my direction? Because I think we could, it would break the rules of social distancing.
I have a full-blown, HEPA face mask that I use for when I'm, doing finishing and sanding.
Uh-huh.
This is in direct violation of the 6-foot rule.
What is
I'm sorry, Greg. I was talking to your wife, Jen, not you. So it's weird that you're interrupting and telling her what she can and can't do. I didn't know that's how your household...
Oh, wow!
We don't need that kind of crap around. I don't need him bringing these progressive ideals to my house, all right?
I'll go back in my room now.
All right, so your flowers came.
Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
the
Happy
fish.
birthday. And the fish, yeah. I didn't put them in the fridge because I know they sometimes go to a bowl or whatever. The ice packs are in there. Everything's fine.
Did you have an adventure out there? Like,
well, I'm in the middle of a show, and then you got to go get fish and flowers. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but that's been working from home.
Yeah. I love working from home.
Yeah. Well, it's different. I think our jobs are different that way. Where it's a little bit, you can get it. I mean, well, I don't know.
What I want to know is how sick of your voice the neighbors are. Because definitely, we have a courtyard, and the sound definitely bounces back and forth.
It's definitely been brought up, right? That when I do Games Daily and all that stuff, and PS I Love You, it's over there at the windows with the windows wide open. So everyone out there now knows that we host these shows. I don't know if they've gone to Google them or subscribe. I hope they have, but
they might be in the chat right now.
They might be. We won't look though, because it's not about that. All right.
But they were asking cool questions.
No, they did a good job. They did a real good job of keeping the show going.
And then Kevin just called me because he's like, you know what, Jen, this is not good enough. Let's have a conversation.
So, what I want to go is a little bit back. How did you get into video games? Like, what was you talk about, like, you liked games, but then obviously found a way to do that through Freeman when you didn't know that was an actual career path.
As a person, you mean?
Yeah. But how did you, as a gamer, get started?
Oh, man. I was 6 years old.
6?
And I was at a Christmas dinner, and my uncle, who lives in Australia, had a PC with Prince of Persia on it. Like the really old purple-black version. Mm-hmm. And I was mind blown. Like, there's something inside my brain that happened that was like, this is the shit right there.
Yeah.
Like, and I want to do this forever. And I became an absolutely insufferable kid about video games. And, like, my family, we grew up in a really modest, like, not even middle class, like, household. And my mom made it work. And my dad, thankfully, had a really, like, safe job with the government, but we didn't have enough money to get consoles. So my dad worked in IT, had a PC, which we got our first PC in 1998, and it was a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
Because not a lot of people had PCs. And so I think maybe even before that, because I was 10 in 88, so it must have been 86.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in elementary school, and I remember being so stoked about it, and no one cared. I was like, guys, I got a PC, and it's really cool. I can play solitaire and fucking Minesweeper, and they were like,
whatever, yeah. We want to play with this ball. I'm in Canada. I'm going to hunt a moose. That's what they were playing.
And so we had, my favorite thing to do as a kid was to go to Staples and dig up the bargain bin.
Hell yeah.
And find a bunch of fucking shareware discs with, like, game demos on there, which I'm like, in this world,
in this economy,
how did they, what is the distribution pipeline for those shareware CDs? Like, how do they get approached to get demos on there? And, like, there was this game called Piranha Panic, which I assume just translated to
Paranoia Panic?
Piranha.
Piranha Panic.
Yes.
Piranha Panic.
It was a side-scroller game, which I don't know what engine was made, because I don't know what engines were around back then.
Yeah.
There was this crazy Carmen Sandiego car game.
Yeah.
There was this game called Creature that it was a life sim game with weird fucking creatures that you would breed, and then I figured out how to get into the back end as a kid and remove. There was, like, this antagonist in the game that was just a gargoyle, and I found his file, and if you move the file out of the folder, he would never spawn. So my world would be all out of balance.
There was no natural predator.
Because you used to approach your little creatures and make them sick, and I was like, not on my watch.
No,
I just wanted to breed them. I got a bunch of mods online, installed a bunch of malware on my parents' PC.
Perfect, great.
But yeah, we never had any consoles, so I lived and thrived on PC. I had so many Game Boy Advance emulators, and I got all the fucking emulators. I played all the Pokemon versions. Didn't matter if it was the same thing in Japanese, because I couldn't figure out how to get an English version. So I never understood what was going on.
Sure.
But I knew that I was catching the Pokemon. And then it was weird because I had no way to be exposed to actual good games. So I've never played a Final Fantasy. I've never played Mega Man. Like, no one was there to tell me, hey, you should check this out. Because I was the only kid playing games. Wow. And because I was in the middle of nowhere. And so...
Because that's the thing, right? At some point in your childhood, you move out of a somewhat city to the country.
Yeah. When I turned 10, we moved to the countryside where like internet had just arrived. Like, we were the only house in my class with internet.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because then I furthered my sort of game isolation, and I had no one to share my passion with. And then like I found online communities, and then I started making friends online. Terrible fucking idea. I was a very unsupervised child, by the way. Do not let your kids alone with a computer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we know that nowadays, right? That was the thing of back in the day, though. Nobody thought that through.
And so I was very active on certain communities, made a bunch of levels. We had this game with a level editor. Not gonna name names here because don't want to people to dig it up. And then it's just I got my sense of community from games, like starting there, and then I got really, really deep into StarCraft, and that's where I started learning English. Because StarCraft, I was just reading all the fucking cutscenes and Diablo then with a lot of cinematics which were blowing my mind. Even though right now you look at them and you're like, oof, Jesus.
We all remember those.
And then as a Blizzard aficionado, I transitioned naturally to World of Warcraft when they went in open beta in 2004. And my account was old as shit. And then when I went to college, I gave it to my dad. And he's retired. He's 72. And he plays World of Warcraft he's been playing for the last 12 years with my account.
So when how did I understand? I've heard this story, obviously. How does that handoff go? Did he already watch you play and know that he wanted to be a part of it? Did he have his own character?
He was watching over my shoulder for a while, and I think he started a trial account. And then it was the whole, I'm in college and I have 0 time, so we can just share it and you can have your character in there. And then eventually I just completely stopped playing because once you stop playing, they raise a level cap and you were falling behind, and it's super frustrating because all my rating gear was out of date, and I was like, oh god, no, I invested so much time. So yeah, it's really he enabled my passion for games because he was also we played all the Tomb Raiders together, and by together I mean I was sitting on the stoop next to him as he played fucking Angel of Darkness, and I thought that was the coolest Tomb Raider ever, which turns out it was not at all the best Tomb Raider game. And used to it did mark my family a lot, this obsession I had with video games, because my mom just gave me this scrapbook which I completely lost my shit over because she blindsided me with it. We got this package and it sat here for a day, and I opened it and you thought somebody had died.
Well, I was here as you opened it, but then I think that's what Lucy thought when she came out and you were crying. She's like, are these happy tears? She literally was like, are these happy tears? Like
full-on sobbing. Right. I was not prepared. And
I think, and again, to give context to that, right? It was the fact that your mom was supposed to be here when this arrived, right? She was originally coming to visit. She was going to spend a week with us or whatever. And then obviously everything happens with the world and the pandemic, so she can't. So she's missing your birthday. So she sends you this thing that's incredible and has... not only just the photos of your birth, but these notes you wrote to Santa and these report cards and all these random ass things put into a beautiful.
It's crazy. But then, so there's this whole full section about video games, and there's this letter I wrote. What was I 9? It says on it where it's
I'll go grab it. Where is it? I don't even know where the book is.
Oh, it's on the shelf in the bedroom.
You want me to grab it? And then you can read it to people.
I'm gonna cry.
Good. That's good views.
So there's this full
Don't
page.
answer if Kevin calls.
And it's this letter I wrote, this essay I wrote in school about my passion. It's I really like video games, and having a PC is cool because you can meet people and talk about games, and Kevin is calling.
Don't answer it. I said don't answer it. Kevin knows the phone won't be answered.
Hold on, let me pull it out.
Don't show any personal info.
No, I know. I mean, it's full of personal info.
There
we go.
Your address from whenever. I think it's glued in, right?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you gotta. Come on, it's a scrapbook. Your mom's not making some weird, stupid scrapbook.
I don't know how scrapbooks work.
You want me to hold it for you?
Yeah. So, do you want to show what the page looks like? There's no personal information.
I mean, there's this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So, you're sure there's nothing in there?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Right, so flip it around.
So, like, my mom put this together with this essay I wrote. I got 96%.
Wow.
And then it says, essentially, my favorite hobby. And it says, every time I have some free time, I'm sitting down at my dad's computer. The first time I started this hobby, I was 7 years old. See, I was not that far off, 6. And I was in 2nd grade. Now I'm 9. So it's been 2 years of that. Really good writing skills.
Well, that's like, we all remember writing these essays, and they're like, it has to be a page long. You're like, oh my God, how do I expand my thoughts?
My father had just purchased a computer. To start off with, like, at the beginning, I had a hard time controlling the mouse. But now that has been fixed. My dad helps me a lot when I visit new websites. Sorry, I'm translating at the same time.
It's not easy.
So I can't use internet a lot, but I play a lot of games like Tomb Raider, and I can even go shopping online, which is a huge fucking lie. I was 9. Who goes shopping online at 9?
What could you even buy? Yeah, exactly.
Kids fucking lie, man. Fucking pieces of shit. Yes.
Don't trust anything a kid says, you know what I mean?
So video games were always a huge part of my life. And I think when we moved away to the middle of nowhere, it became even more prominent because that was my escape to being the weird city kid who had no friends. And I was going to, shockingly, a music school. I can't sing. Like, I cannot sing. But I played a bunch of instruments. And it was a school with a uniform. So when I moved to the countryside where everyone was wearing like cool carved clothes and
now were they cool?
Shirts.
Were they cool, or was it like this is what was cool in the countryside?
It was cool in the countryside, jacket. Yeah. So I was really, really uncool. Okay. I had only mismatched clothes and no like fashion brands because we couldn't afford any of those like $60 jeans for 12-year-olds.
No.
So I didn't have a lot of friends, and then that's when I doubled down on.
I'll live online. Then.
Oh my God! There's a period of time in my family picture albums where I'm nowhere. Like from 13 to 16, I refused to be on a photo. And I probably broke my mom's heart 1,000 times. Sure.
Her scrapbook detailing every aspect of your life.
Except there's nothing between 13 and 16 in there.
Yeah.
It's really shitty. It made me horrified to have kids forever because I'm like, what if our kids are really fucking angry? Like I was. But I think I had a lot of anxiety as a teenager and just never verbalized it. And then I just dealt with it. And like you've met me, I'm a very anxious person.
For no reason. But I mean, that's how anxiety works. That's anxiety. Yeah, I shouldn't say it.
So
do you think it's when you trace that back, right? And especially because obviously, you know, I remember meeting you and like I always talk about like on our first date or whatever. And when people were like, oh, like I knew on the first date, and it was when you said, oh, I see myself having, you know, maybe 1 or 2 kids, and me going, okay, and like, wait, I didn't want kids. That whole story. But do you, when you look back and you try to think about how you're going to, you know, quote unquote, fix it and not have an angry child, or you know what I mean? Like, what does it come down to? Do you feel like you guys didn't have the right kind of communication? Do you feel like there weren't? I think when you talk about it, you always talk about like, you know, getting moved to the countryside, right? And how they didn't trick you guys, but it was like, do you guys want to go live at the weekend house? And you and your sister were like, yeah, not understanding what that actually meant.
Yeah.
Is that part of it? If there were different discussions about that and why this needed to happen?
I think both my parents have themselves like very non-traditional families. I mean, you know, there was some situations of abuse as well. So I think there's no normal way of having a family. And I don't want to preface this. Like they did the best with what they had. But I think in terms of communication and encadrement, which is like setting boundaries around your kids, it could have used a bit of work.
Yeah.
Because I was the demon child that was gonna push you until the very end to see how far it could take you.
Yeah.
For some psychopathic reason. I sucked. I don't know. I don't know what I want. I probably wanted attention out of it, or like to be told no and to be comforted, I guess, in a way. Like, and there's no rationale behind it when you look at it. And I look back on it, and I constantly apologize to my mom, like still to this day, being like, I don't know why I was doing this. Like, it makes no sense. It's horrifying. And so I think, maybe if they had been a bit more strict, but then you can't blame them for doing their best.
No, of course not. No.
So for us, I think my fear is that it's going to backfire and I'm going to be a fucking strict as fuck parent, which I don't want to be, because it's just as bad as not being strict enough. And so when we met and I was starting to turn the corner on having kids, it was a lot like starting a business. Like, I saw how much you were like trustworthy and passionate, and you weren't afraid to share your emotions. And I think that's playing a huge part in it, where I think emotional openness but with a healthy mix of boundaries is what's going to save me at the end of the day with kids. But
Sure.
I'm still super scared. Because also anything you say can traumatize them.
Yeah, they remember the weirdest things.
God.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think about all the time the weird things I remember. I'm like, no, that's a weird one.
Yeah, but then, you never know. But I think us together, we can make it work. Me alone, oh boy. No. You've met me. Again, like back on the like emotionally like processing things. I suck at it. And I think it's something I really need to work on for us to bring somebody else into this world. Sure. Out of respect for them.
Well, that's a conversation I have, you know, and I know I did it recently talking about Patapon, where I was like, I was so ready for Patapon 2, but then when it did drop and it was that it's not a game I can play with you in the room because I can't ignore you. You won't let me. And I can't you have to be in and out. And it's that that led to conversations like, oh yeah, when, you know, you're talking to, obviously, so it's like when we bitch about Porty and then you meet somebody who has a kid, they're like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah. Same thing, right? But it is also that understanding that I've talked about before, that when we have children, it is, I know what I'm doing there. Yeah. I know that it is legitimately then I'm never gonna, not never, but it will be playing a game, and then out of left field something happens, and that's done. I'm done playing the game. I don't get to be grumpy about it like I am with you when you want me to go on a fucking hike.
It's for
I had a goddamn I had a day planned, and now I got to fucking hike for 2 hours. Fantastic.
It's great. You take great Death Stranding pictures out there.
I do get good Death Stranding content out of it. You know what I mean?
It's for your health.
Yeah, I know, and I need it, but I just want to know ahead of time. I am a planner. You need to tell me ahead of time.
I do though.
No. Sunday we woke up hungover, and you're like, "You want to go hike?" I'm like, "Oh my god, no!"
Wasn't it Saturday?
Well, that's when we went on we got in the car and got a car and went and did all that stuff. This is when we just walked, and then I didn't want to walk. Remember? And I was very grumpy and hungry. Then I came home, almost had an emotional breakdown that day too. Turned out just hungry. That's how it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I digress. Let me tell you about our sponsors. You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to get the show ad free and be part of the friend zone. But speaking of them ads, let's talk about it. Today we're brought to you by MeUndies. It's officially spring, which means it's officially spring cleaning time. Yes, that's a thing. And if you're doing it, you should, especially with your underwear drawer and your relationship with toxic, old, tattered undies, and move on to a membership with the softest undies that will ever grace your nethers. A fresh new start for spring. Everybody knows I love my MeUndies, right, Jen? Mm-hmm. I wear them all the time.
I fold so many of them.
And thank you for that. That's appreciative. But of course, they're super soft. They're amazing. When I got them, my first pair, I loved them so much, I then subscribed and got a whole bunch more MeUndies and continue to get more MeUndies to this day. And I also have the lounge pants I like a lot. And then I also have the onesies. You have onesies as well, right? Do you like them? Are they soft?
Where have they been? I
They're
feel
in
like
the onesies. Well, they're more of a Christmas thing too.
Yeah.
That's why we have them there.
Very soft.
There's. I mean, I know there's no rules for working from home, but I feel like when I put on a onesie, that's when we've gone a bridge too far.
Yeah.
Unless Blessing has one, maybe I'll wear them on PS I Love You.
You should.
I digress. MeUndies now has an undie membership. Why do you need an undie membership? Honestly, because it's fun. It's an easy way to give your future self a present every month. A membership with MeUndies is full of perks like site-wide savings, early access, free shipping, and yes, ridiculously soft undies delivered to your door and making the collection and adult life a tad bit easier, because more undies means less laundry. It's science. Fewer things to do laundry, Right, Jen? Like our pile of laundry in the other room.
God, it's been there for 6 weeks.
So long. MeUndies, of course, are made of that micro-modal fabric we've talked about before. It is magical, sustainable, and soft as heck. You should get on it. That's why I love them. They have sizes from XS to 4XL. MeUndies has a great offer for my listeners. Any first-time purchasers get 15% off and free shipping. This is a no-brainer, especially because they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. To get your 15% off your first order, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/morning. That's MeUndies.com/morning. Our other sponsor is Honey. Online shopping is supposed to be easy, so why is it so hard to find coupon codes that actually work? Thanks to Honey, it doesn't have to be. Honey is the free online shopping tool that saves you money online. Honey automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart, which makes online shopping finally feel as easy as it's supposed to be. Imagine you're at one of your favorite websites, Target, Best Buy, Sephora, Macy's, etc. When you check out, a little box drops down, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. After a few seconds, it scans for every promo code on the internet, and you watch the prices drop. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a true story, of course. I've been using Honey since Tim said you have to start using Honey because it's this cool thing and it saves you money. I didn't realize until Lucy James the other day started talking about Honey Gold. That when you're logged in with Honey, which is what you should do when you get this thing, it keeps track and gives you Honey coins, and then you can redeem them for gift cards.
You know who else I think uses that? Allie. Because I saw the little icon
on
the
little
her browser. Yeah.
Well, be like Allie, Lucy, and me. But then also be like me, where Lucy said that, and today I clicked on the Honey thing, had a whole bunch of coins, got us Amazon money. Free Amazon money.
Also, your bullet points are so well organized.
Thank you. I like to have a clean document. The other guys don't. It drives me crazy. Honey is found. It's over 18 million members, over $2 billion in savings. Did you know Honey supports over 30,000 stores online, and they're adding more every day. Users love Honey. That's why it has more than 100,000 5-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. All you do is click on this little extension, you add it, and there it is, and it saves you the money. It's free to use and installs in just 2 clicks. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/morning. That's joinhoney.com/morning. I'm bringing you into the friend zone now.
I'm excited.
This is where the Kind of Funny best friends can write in, but I also feel it generates great topics of conversation for us to continue. So don't think you're off, right?
I'm spinning in circles.
You're not at all. So Adam wants to know, he wrote in and was like, what is your role at PopAgenda? Yeah. Also, what exactly is PopAgenda? Yeah. I asked you earlier in this one for a nutshell approach, and then you talked for 5 minutes.
I know, I do that.
PopAgenda is you three, and you're helping other people publish their games.
Yeah.
That's the long and short of it, right? And we talked about it, obviously, being about indies. It started, I think, from a place where you guys wanted to be helping the indie scene in Montreal, correct?
Yeah.
Now it's global.
Everywhere, yeah.
For you, we've talked about what you do and what PopAgenda gives. Why did indies need this in particular?
Well, first of all, because they never, most of the time, have someone dedicated to that, like within the team.
Because the team's so small?
Yeah, the teams are so small, they need to be making a game. So the second they take somebody away to focus on release management or PR or marketing, the game's not being made. Yeah. So it's really cost effective, time costly.
It costs a lot of time.
Thanks. Jesus. It's almost 1 p.m. I'm so hungry.
Oh, me too, yeah.
And so having a third party also that's completely independent from your overhead costs is really, really budget efficient. So I think we insert ourselves really well into that space. And we're up to date because we're sort of functioning as publishers with the first parties. So the conversations we have with the release management teams at Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, like,
you carry those relationships over.
Exactly. And it took us a little bit of time to explain to first parties what it is that we do, because we're not publishing games. Right. And so they're listing us on their platforms as publishers, but we're like, actually, we're just going to...
Do you think that's because they're so rigid and the system has been the same for so long that you're doing something so different that there's no easy way for them to pivot because they're so big?
I think it's because no one has done it before, which is a strange thing to think about, but it makes sense because if you want to publish a game, you want to make money out of the royalties. But we're in the world now where I feel there is so much room for teams like ours where funding comes from other sources. Like, there's people out there funding games, like Epic has been funding games, right? And then There's third parties like Kowloon Nights funding a lot of indie products or projects, and Super Hot has been funding projects. So you have teams with democratized publishing tools, money that are not like, it's not publisher money, so their recouping situation is more flexible, and they're making a game. So there's this connection missing, and it's to everyone's advantage to have someone that's sort of independent focus on that. So the first parties are thankful that we're there because we understand the processes and stuff. But to your question, I think it's going to be more and more flexible because they only have 2 boxes right now on the dev portals. It's you're either a dev or you're either a publisher.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bending to fit us in there, but we massaged the whole situation into being more flexible for us.
So coming up here on 3 years of PopAgenda, I remember when you started this and found an audience for it and found indies wanting to work with you, you guys having this conversation on shows and talking just in general in the industry, right? You're surprised more people weren't doing this.
Yeah.
Is that still the case 3 years later, or are there more people are there more companies doing this, coming in to be this intermediary between indie developers or developers in general and publishers?
I think there's more. I think there's an interesting number in the UK specifically that I've noticed. In North America, there's a lot of marketing and PR focused folks, but production is really unusual, and I don't know if it's because release managers are so rare or if it's just not an interesting position to be freelance. Like, there's freelancers, there's freelance producers. There's not a lot of freelance release managers because you need to be in the know about how the dev portals work, and you need to have shipped games before. And the only release managers I know are, of course, like MC, but people at Square that's their title. They're the release managers, and they're at a very key position in the company because they're the gatekeepers of the build. So they are the very fragile bridge between the team providing them with the 1.0 and the first party platform being like, I'm ready to bring this to the public. So it's a very stressful position to be in because if you fill a form wrong, you can fuck the entire thing up. It's very scary. So I don't know if that's, it has to be more common. I want it to be more common because there's so many teams out there who we can't work with because we have tremendously limited bandwidth because it's only the 3 of us and we don't want to expand too much. So yeah, I don't know.
Interesting question that I've never asked you, even though I live with you. Do you see, we keep talking, and I'm sure you hear it bleed through the walls, and I'm so sorry. We keep talking on all of our shows about next gen, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and how there's this question of what will indie's role be? And I think when we saw Last of Us and Iron Man get delayed, there was this conversation about, like, that's going to keep happening and be a domino effect. My questions then become, are indies right now more important than ever? Are you seeing more indies rise up? Is this pandemic not affecting them the same way? And then knowing what I guess you wouldn't be able to do that if you knew anything. What do you think that, like, is PlayStation having like Shu and Greg? Is Xbox with ID at Xbox? Is Epic Game Store? Are people still trying to make strides? And do you think that next generation will have one? Hey, we are the place for indies that PlayStation 4 was in the beginning, that Game Pass kind of became, that then Switch blew up into. That's 15 questions for you right there. Thank you.
Like, oh my God, which answer do you want? Like, there's always going to be a place for indies. I think, honestly, it's hard to say with the next gen stuff.
Yeah.
Because everyone's excited always about blockbuster titles.
Yeah.
But I think there's also more eyeballs than ever on indie content and indie makers. So I feel they have their place in the ecosystem, and they're going to be given, like, if you mention Greg and Shu specifically, like, that's their whole shtick, right? They are here to elevate indie content. So you have to assume that there's going to be a really interesting roster in the future. And ID at Xbox has been killing it. Like, they're excellent at their job. Like, they're one of, my favorite teams to work with. They're super, super on top of it. They're interested, they want content, and they know how to promote it as well. So it's like, and I'm saying that because I hadn't worked a lot with them until we shipped Creature in the Well. And I was amazed because I couldn't have an opinion until I worked with them. And they're so great. They're so great to work with. And you can tell they're passionate about it.
What about Epic Game Store? Because when they launched, they started throwing so much money around.
But they are amazing. The teams are so knowledgeable. They are super motivated to. And I'm not biased because I didn't take it. Again, we don't take a cut, so it doesn't matter which projects of ours they fund. But working with them in comparison to working with Steam, which is a very Steam is fantastic. It's more like Nick's work, but they don't communicate as openly because they're not as aggressively trying to pierce the space, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But the Epic team has been very transparent, very excited, very passionate about the content that they're bringing on the platforms. And you're talking to people, and they're very public about what they're doing. And I honestly really loved working with them, and you can see how fast their tools are progressing from the publishing side. Their dashboard is incredible. Their release management portal, so fucking great. It's so well built, and you can tell, the people building it have dealt with dev portals before, sometimes carrying clunky technology from previous iterations of older generation consoles. Sure. And Epic is no, we want to fix all that. And they're doing such a good job. And so I think for the developers, they're doing amazing work. So I'm excited to see where they go.
Is it still possible in 2020 to have that gigantic indie success story? Are we going to see another Cuphead, or is the market too crowded?
There's always room. There's so many excellent games being made that I think they're gonna come through and shine just as much as there's one every year or more. You know? Totally. Outer Wilds was a huge hit. For example, just to name one.
Celeste, Outer Wilds. Yeah.
So I think constantly there's gonna be new stuff coming, and maybe from rotating teams. It doesn't always have to be the old veterans coming back, making a huge comeback.
They're back. They're better than ever. What about then? As we've seen, this. No, I don't want to say, as the pandemic's affected the industry, we've seen AAA kind of get stopped in its tracks and start to move around. Is that dominoing out? Is that trickling down to indies? Or since they were already working from home, is it not a big deal? Or is it that since QA can't look at their game or their back? Or
for the most part, I would say internally they're able to function pretty normally. It's taking a mental toll on everybody, obviously, because even though they're used to working from home or their studios are have remote solutions, their partners sometimes don't. So and a lot of them have kids, so adjusting to that reality has been a thing. But for the most part, production timelines have been unaffected. There are some first-party dependencies, but again, for the most part, those teams have been really transparent on the issues, such as, well, maybe you should add some more buffer to your certification process because all the teams working from home, the QA teams, as you mentioned, are a bit more inaccessible, but they're communicating on that, and they're I think, if anything, this whole thing has brought out the human aspect to all the teams, where before you would look at a first party submission team and be like, oh, you're a giant boat and I don't know who I'm talking to. And now the people are like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and this is going to take longer. And I hope you're staying safe and your family's well. And so I think there will be a slowdown just generally because everything is slowed down, but indies have that nimble approach to things that is, I think, greatly helping them in that situation, for sure.
Okay. Stephen Milbank writes into patreon.com/kindafunny, just like you can, to be in the friend zone, and says, question for Jen. Congratulations on the success of PopAgenda. What would you consider to be the most stressful part of your job?
Oh, everything is so stressful all the time. No, it's honestly been great on the stress front because we're in control of what we do. I think what's the most stressful part? bringing a person on our team, like when we worked with Belinda last year, she was great, but it's like bringing somebody new into your marriage. And then you're very aware that the seams are showing, and it's like you want to make sure they have a place to thrive and that's professionally productive for them to be in. Yeah. Which, like, she's at Ubisoft now, which is fine. Like,
she's fine. Well, she's out. She got out. She just realized, oh my God, I can't work with these people. I don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. So to me, that was the most stressful thing. Bringing somebody that we could possibly traumatize. It's like having a kid.
We could totally push away from this industry to talk around to doing this job.
And as we seek to eventually, like, add 1 or 2 more people to our team, like, that's definitely the scariest part. Because you want them to be happy. You want this experience to be a meaningful milestone in their careers, and for them to have like to gain something out of it, and not just be in complete chaos. Because when it's just the founders, I mean, you've been there, when it's just the founders, you don't give a shit if your paycheck is late 3 weeks because you need to pay your taxes and then the fucking bank account. But when you have an employee, you just can't. And then you need to make sure that they have the proper tools and support in place. And to me, that's the most stressful thing, because I care so much about career progression based on my previous years of being a workaholic. That's the most stressful thing. But for the most part, like the actual work itself, I think we've been through enough release cycles that it's more exciting than stressful, where we don't know year to year what that's going to look like. Like this year, there's 0 events in all of my marketing plans because everybody's pivoting to video. So how do we integrate that into our marketing campaigns to make the most out of the situation? So it's more exciting than stressful. Hiring is just terrifying.
Yeah, it is. That's very true. Darby writes into patreon.com/kindofmoney and says, what obstacles have you come across as a woman in gaming, and how did you overcome them?
That's always a big question. I mean, we're all aware of the stigmas around being a woman in general in any field. I think when I joined, there was already a significant transition in terms of there were more women in the industry, and it was a bit more open. And I think Frema in particular was a great studio to be at, because it was like when I joined 200 something people, so you had a lot of people from different paths and walks of life. Personally, it's gonna sound weird, but I think I was my biggest hurdle.
Really?
Yeah. Just because I had a lot of growth to do. I was a kid when I started. I was 21. And so I sometimes just didn't make the right decisions, or like generated a lot of, I wasn't an ally a lot in my earlier years because I wanted to fit in and, I wanted to be in the boys club and stuff. Gotcha. And so looking back on the attitude I had when I started and being so like career focused, I was very to the point and sometimes an asshole, and I just wanted to have it my way, and I think I could have been a much better person, but that's easy to say now. And I didn't speak up sometimes when I saw issues at the studio, and I should have,
Sure.
But that's a scary thing to do when you're trying to fit in and you're trying
when you're young too.
Exactly.
You're just getting started, right? That's how this
I was a kid, but it's not an excuse. And so there's a lot of that I wish I could fix.
Is that your advice when you talk to people? I mean, you just went up to Ubisoft Toronto before everything went to hell, and we're on a panel similar to this. Like, is that what you pass forward?
Yeah,
now?
I want my takeaway to be like, be the best person you can be, even though it means sometimes like not jeopardizing your career. But if you're not gonna get fired for doing the right thing, and if you do, then fuck that place. At the end of the day, you don't
call Jason Schreier.
You don't want to be a part of a studio or an organization that is gonna fire you for doing the right thing. And that's my biggest thing, where even though it's scary and you're going to get you're going to have a stigma attached to it, and you're going to be that person for like 3 months, right? Yeah. But you're still doing the right thing, and it's worth it.
Talking about being career focused, early on or whatever. Then, of course, the 9 months off, and now PopAgenda stuff. And there's no way for me, I feel, and maybe it's just my own hang-up, because I don't there's no way for this, I don't want this to sound conceited. Do you get annoyed when we're at an industry event and someone introduces you as Greg's wife?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also because I've been doing this for 10 years, but I understand that sometimes it's just a default social thing and whatever. But it has only happened really rarely. And if that happens, it's because it's the best shot they have at placing me on the landscape, because I've never, like, a lot of the voice acting crowd, I have no idea who these people are. They have no idea who I am.
I remember the time I introduced you to Nolan North 3 different times on the same night. The final time he was like, "What the fuck, Jen?"
Listen, I haven't worked with a lot of voice actors. In that case, it's totally fine. It makes sense, if anything, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like a fellow developer, it's like the only time it's really happened, and that was like hurtful or because I took it personally. It was when I was unemployed, but that made sense too, because it's like,
sure,
what am I going to be introduced as? Ex-brand manager at Square Enix Montreal, and then the question mark.
Right.
So it's totally fine.
It seems like it. No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Whatever happens out there. I don't care. Whatever. Not a big deal to me.
I love when people introduce you as my husband, though.
Oh, I do too. Well, I think that's the thing, is like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm such a moron. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ever expect, when I meet a developer, I never expect them to know who the fuck I am. You know what I mean? You're making a game. You're busy. You want to be on fucking Reset Era seeing what stupid thing I said to get in trouble. Norm Chacho writes into patreon.com/kindafunny, just like you can. It says, "Hey, Jen, I have a 2-part question. Number 1, what's your favorite part about living in the U.S.? Number 2, what's your least favorite part?"
Oh man, the freedom is so great. My favorite part of living in the U.S. is that you don't need a passport
to go state to state? Fair. That counts. We'll count it. Put it on the board. That's fine.
Ooh. As a business owner, it's shitty, because the only advantage I can think of right now is very capitalistic. As a business owner, you do feel like you can come up with your own fucking thing, and it's gonna be great, and people are gonna be happy for you, and like, it's a life achievement to have your own business.
Is that not a thing in Canada?
I guess I have never started a company in Canada, so maybe. My favorite part about America is you.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a weird relationship.
You in America?
Me in America, yeah. Because it's taken, like, I never had any intention of moving here, ever. And going through the process was, all things considered, easy, but it was still a lot. I'm away from my family.
Of course.
I'm away from, like, I made amazing friends here, but I'm still away from what I know. So America's beautiful. It's got a lot of different landscapes.
Yeah.
I want to go to Utah and go to the Grand Canyon.
Stop blowing smoke up America. What's your least favorite part?
America.
Just in general?
Just in general.
Yeah.
There's just, oh man, where to start? It just doesn't feel like human beings are a priority in general, like basic human rights. There's a lot of fear. And like, Canada has its own issues, like in particular in regards to First Nations. Terrible fucking history there. But yeah, it's just the guns, it's a lot.
Sure.
The healthcare system, it's a lot. Like, sending our kids to school, like, and I'm talking completely out of my ass, because like, I've never actually been to school in America, so maybe it's not that bad. The social discrepancies, it's a lot, but then Canada has its own issues again. So I don't know. I think
that's always the thing is, and I know that I'm like in the relationship, obviously. I don't. You can tell. Do you think I am too quick to defend America?
Americans are very quick, but it's like,
I'm not talking about me. Like, am I too quick to defend America?
A little bit.
Yeah, because I feel like what I try to do is not defend but explain, and I don't know if that works, because it is that thing where like we'll bring up something, but then it's like, well, you said this about Canada before, not the same thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know, where I think it is again what you know, and like I always bring up the example is mass shootings.
Yeah.
And when the first one happened while you were here, and you were just like devastated about it.
Yeah.
And it was that thing of like, and you're like, but this, I was like, but why? And you're like, this doesn't happen where I'm from. And it was that idea that since Columbine, like, I feel like as a child, right, that just became normal. Like having a Schedule E drill in high school was normal because that was the new normal, and you had to adjust, and that could happen rather than, now to get to where we are now and to be an adult and have you here with a fresh set of eyes being like, wait, why would this be the thing though? Why would this be the case? And not have a real answer for you other than what we talk about even with the pandemic, right? Of like how fast humans are to adapt and how fast we were to adapt in a very specific way. Not in a way let's take away the guns, let's figure out the thing, let's do the thing. It was like, no, we'll tell the kids to hide in the corner and lock the door. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I can see where that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I don't know, because it's a huge fucking country too. Like I don't know if there is a midterm solution to this, and of course I moved here like right as Trump got elected.
Yeah, right as the wind blew the other direction.
I've never
after 8 years of hope.
Yeah, I've never experienced America before. I visited, but I never lived here. I never had to be a part of the system. So it's been chaotic. And so I think I'm justified in feeling like it's been chaotic.
Oh, no. I'm not saying you're not justified.
No. I know. I'm just like, talking. So I feel bad about it because the people are great for the most part. Like the people we meet are amazing. Yeah. There's people trying to bring change to the country, and I don't want that to go unnoticed because not everyone's a piece of shit. Right? I think it's the system that's just broken, and I think economically, like, this is not viable for anyone who's in need of social support, or anyone in general, like people with underlying health conditions. It's like, we're super lucky. I mean, you have your history with healthcare, but I'm super lucky I have nothing that needs immediate attention or
immediate. We have nagging issues. We'll deal with it another time.
But it's I don't like shitting on a country.
No, I understand.
I really don't.
Yeah, they asked the question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's take it in a different direction.
Okay.
Ignacio Rojas writes into patreon.com/kindoffunny and says, "Happy birthday, Jen.
Thanks.
Hope you're having a good day. My question is, how has it been getting accustomed to life in the U.S.? I don't mean just the culture or lifestyle. I mean the smaller stuff. Having to go from life in French, French to life in English, leaving the metric system behind, different ways of greeting people. Parentheses, I assume French Canadians greet like French people with kisses on the cheeks.
Yeah.
After spending 2 months in SF myself, I know there is some stuff that's hard getting accustomed to. Is there anything you still haven't gotten accustomed to? Anyways, as always, keep on dunking." Good job, Ignacio. Good Oreo reference.
Ironically, it's the other way around. It's how I've adjusted here, and then going back to Canada, when people lean in to kiss, I almost consistently kiss them on the mouth by accident.
What a business meeting this is. Man, PopAgenda sure is getting a lot of indie devs. Weird.
Because there is an order to which cheek you start with.
Okay.
And you've forgotten. It's out of my brain just deletes information as it no longer needs it, right? Yeah. And I will systematically go for the wrong cheek, which means that it's like directly on the mouth.
Sure, they're turning, or not even.
Yeah. So that's been strange. And like when you start doing it less and you get back into it, it's like, shit's actually really weird. Like, I don't know you. Why would I kiss you?
Yeah, why are we kissing?
And even more so in professional contexts where at a games convention, if I don't know someone, but they know my coworker, they're going to shake their hand and kiss me, which is like, because I'm a woman, like it's strange. It's very strange. I don't know if I can put my cheek on your cheek.
Sure. Start the revolution. Don't do it. Stop kissing other people.
But we don't think about it.
Like, sure. No, totally. Yeah. I mean, it's like what I'm talking about, cultural stuff here. Yeah. Like when it's all you've known, why would you ever stop to sit there and analyze it? Yeah. Like, wait, why is it happening like that?
Other than that, there's not much. Honestly, I was pretty amazed at how having a private healthcare system makes all of the portals and the tools really nice. That's the only thing. Yeah. It's very similar to Canada, I guess. That's in terms of cultural, like there's not a lot of cultural difference. Have you noticed something that I'm flipping out about?
No, I mean
the
language
mail.
stuff.
Holy shit, the fucking mail.
What's wrong with the? Oh yeah, where it's like all the things look urgent.
You guys.
Jen will come in from the mailbox, and be like, "This says urgent." I'm like, it's an ad. Throw it away. Tear it up. Don't even open it.
So somebody needs to confirm this, but I don't think it's legal in Canada to write. You must open this now. This is urgent or past due.
Sure.
If it's not actually,
make it look like it's a check to you.
Yes.
And then you open it up, and it's like, it's actually savings on a magazine. Like, what the fuck?
You guys, like, there are multiple reasons why Americans are so anxious, and mail is number one. Like, everything is just so alarming.
Yeah.
Don't make it so fucking alarming. I feel so many people must get scammed.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's
like,
meant to get old people. That's what it's for.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
You've seen the commercials you see during the day.
I love.
Or you or one of your loved ones suffering from mesothelioma. Hit us up at this thing.
Drug commercials are my favorite thing. Also, another thing, like they're a thing in Canada, but less aggressively than here. Like they're not 7-minute long.
This could be. Everybody's happy and it's like, you might die if you take this.
And it's like, why would I ask my doctor is supposed to know which med is good for me. Why would I try to like question their knowledge with this fucking paid for commercial?
Hyper Times finishes this thing here, right, with America. It says favorite American foods.
Nacho helmet.
Oh my God. From like our second date in
Yeah.
Chicago at the Sox game.
Yeah.
You almost died. You had nightmares all night long. You know how this is. You can get the baseball helmet filled with like ice cream or whatever. There at the Sox, for the White Sox, probably everywhere else too. But like they had a nacho helmet that I had to walk all over the ballpark and get for her. Mm-hmm. Then she wouldn't stop eating even when she was full, and I had to put it on the ground and say it was floor food. And then I think you still finished it because you wore it out.
I wanted to wear it.
And then that night you had such nightmares.
I had nacho nightmares.
Nacho nightmares. That's not good. Speaking of baseball, BJ Bernardo says, "Happy birthday, buddy."
Thanks.
And hi, Greg. Hey. I always see you wear a Montreal Expos hat. Do you actually like baseball in the Expos?
I do like baseball. I think baseball is very soothing to watch.
Sure.
But I would much rather watch a live game than
Oh,
on
yeah,
TV.
yeah, no.
And I did actually go see the Expos once when I was a child, but I was mostly excited about the hot dogs, and I didn't really care about
kids.
them
Yeah,
as a kid.
totally.
Yeah.
But for the record, you're a complete fucking poser
Why?
with the Expos hat. Because you even admit it. We bought it at the airport that one time because you love Montreal and obviously it's your hometown and everything. But like there'll be times where we walk and people are, that hat gets more comments than anything.
Oh, yeah.
But if they ever follow up with like, oh, blah, blah, you're always like, huh? And you
The
just keep walking.
Washington Nationals, I learned about it. They got...
From me, I think. I think I told you that.
No, I Googled it.
No, well, fair enough, I guess.
I'm not like a sports person.
I've noticed.
Like the Expos as an icon of where I'm from. That's
Fair.
it.
That's fair.
I'm not a poser. You're a poser.
What are you talking about?
Play video games.
You've seen me. I don't know. You don't even play video games. Mitch Craston writes in, patreon.com/kindafunny, and says, where does your skill with food come from? What are your tips when it comes to presentation? Now, of course, that's one of the big things people know you for.
Yeah.
Is that you, especially during this quarantine, you've been putting on all sorts of crazy meals. You're cooking lobsters, you're making bread, you're making jams, you're pickling pickles back there. We're super out of focus. I saw comments on it earlier. There's nothing I can do. I don't know. I missed the studio. Anyways, where does your skill with cooking come from?
My mom.
Yeah?
My mom cooked for us all the time. And then I don't know what happened, but at some point we outcooked her. And
You became the master?
yeah. And then she was like, well, I guess now you guys are cooking every time you're visiting because turns out she hates it. Because she had to do it out of necessity for so long.
Yeah, of course.
And like she is very open about the fact that she's not that much of a great cook. I think she just instilled it in us and we pushed it further out.
Yeah.
Like Gab and I, and Rachel started cooking a lot. But I think it's just a nurturing part of it. We love feeding people because it's great. Like I will make stuff that's just gonna stay in the fridge because you and I, like if I make a cake, we don't eat sweets. Like it's just gonna stay there.
I'm making you cake today.
I'm excited.
Funfetti right there.
I can't wait. Funfetti's my favorite type of cake. And then presentation wise, not a very like good
bullshit. Look at your photos.
Not to the level that I would want to be.
Sure, but I mean you're still way better than most. Better than me.
Yeah, I think it's a balance of texture, colors, and textures and colors.
Yeah. Okay.
And not too big portions. Like that's the thing.
That's
that
it. Yeah,
people do.
you do great with that. You're also just so impressive that like you just open the fridge and look at stuff and you're like, this is what I'm gonna do with it. Whereas I need a recipe and I need steps. I can't just go in there.
When you grow up poor, you make with what you have. So no, but that's the way my mom like planned out her meals. She's like, cool, I got this and that, I'm gonna whip up something. And sometimes it's not good. Like sometimes I whip up stuff and it's like you say it's good, but it's not.
There's only been like twice where I was like, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah.
Try to make me that pot roast full of gray vegetables. What are you thinking? I don't want that crap. This isn't a question, but it's a comment I never thought of and I liked and I want to end on it. Patrick wrote in to patreon.com/kindafunny and said, Jen, parentheses, and Greg, if and when you two become parents, please announce it as next gen. Thank you.
Every time you're doing a podcast and I hear next gen, I'm like, what's wrong with current gen? Sure.
Okay. That's how we got to figure that out one day. Okay.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Are you kicking me out?
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I mean, we got more shows to do. You got work to do, don't you?
There were more questions.
Well, I don't do them all. I mean, what? Do you want to pick one?
Rude.
Well, go ahead. Fine. Screw you. You know what I mean? See? Like that, I had a cadence. There's a cadence to this.
I mean, some of them go really deep, so I understand why you don't want to go down there.
Exactly, right? We had a good show here.
Sirens on our end.
Sirens are on our end. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been We Have Cool Friends. Each and every Monday, I bring one of our cool friends, or somebody else brings it. It doesn't have to be me all the time. To youtube.com/kindafunny, podcast services around the globe. Remember, you can be part of the show, patreon.com/kindafunny, to be in the friend zone, to get the show ad-free. If you want to send in some friend zone questions, next Monday, video game journalist Jason Schreier comes to We Have Cool Friends.
He's cool.
He's very cool. He's a cool friend.
Way cooler than me.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yes. You know it.
No. Anything you want to promote before you go?
Oh, who do I want to promote?
Because like PopAgenda is a weird thing where it's not something you really promote, right? Because it's like, unless you're a developer, then work with PopAgenda, I guess.
I mean, and then if I choose one of my clients, it sounds like favorite. Favoritism.
I mean, if we're going to pick any of your clients to go with, we should probably promote Island Time VR. Carl the Crab. Get on that. PlayStation VR.
I've not actually worked on this title. And then when we did the key messaging for it, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about it.
She gets mad when I bring up Island Time because it was
go if you like food and you like supporting local chefs and local farmers.
Right, yeah.
Go support chefscart.farm. They're my chef friends and they're trying to fix the food supply chain problems in San Francisco by delivering food directly to your door. This is not a sponsored ad. I'm helping them actually with marketing and PR, so good plug. They're lovely. Go help me build our Instagram account.
Even if you're not in San Francisco, follow Chef's Cart
Chefscart.farm. Yeah, Chefscart SF on Instagram.
If you're in here and you can actually buy it, then yeah.
I'm actually the one posting, so if you like my jokes on
just
Twitter,
just say hi every time.
Yeah, just say hi. Jen.
Chefscart.farm, and it'll take you everywhere to the Instagrams and that stuff too, and you can do it there too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jen, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. And then Kevin's not here, so I have to.
Are we fading?
I have to go over here.
Oh, it's like hanging up from a weird meeting.
I know, right? It's like the end of every Zoom call or anything else. Like, all right, see you later. And then it's like, wait, how do I turn it on? They staring at people. Bye.